Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Asia Gaming Brief Face-to-Face series. I'm speaking today with Lee Montaina, Managing Director of Westar Architects International Limited Macau. Since 2008, Westar has worked with all six of Macau's gaming concessionaires, building out over 100,000 square meters of VIP gaming space. They're also one of the leading innovators when it comes to the premium mass gaming segment, working with Melco Resorts. Today, I'm going to ask Lee about the shift away from VIP gaming as being witnessed in Macau. What does that mean for all that extra VIP gaming space that might be left unused? Lee, thanks for joining us today and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Felix. I'm a huge fan of your publication.
Thank you. So just getting into it, we've actually been discussing internally at AGB this topic for a while. It wasn't so long ago that Macau's gaming operators have had this arms race of building out VIP gaming space. But obviously in the last few years, maybe even more than that, there's been this shift away from VIP into premium mass and into other things. This leaves a lot of VIP gaming space high and dry and possibly being unused in the future. What does that mean? From your perspective, what are you seeing on the ground?
Well, obviously the numbers speak volumes to the drop in VIP volume. We're talking close to, a 60% drop in the numbers. So once those numbers drop and the bottom line on your EBITDA starts to go single digit, the properties have to start to rethink whether there is value in putting money towards the VIP gaming. So obviously there's been a major change because what brought on by COVID, and obviously Beijing's new practice on cracking down with transfers of money and the discussion of the digital currency coming up as well. That have all really changed the VIP market as a whole. So I do kind of want to caution to say that there's the VIP marketers themselves have created great brands. Sun City, Tokchun, Guangdong. These are big brands with great relationships. So I don't know if they're gonna, go away quietly. I think they will try to reinvent themselves to some degree. So I do see a shift in that for sure. But the days of 2014 and previous with these crazy numbers for VIP roll is just probably gone for good. So as your question would be is what do the properties do with the amount of square meters that they've allocated for VIP gaming? Unfortunately, there's no one answer fits all. I really think it has to be looked at the macro level for each property, because each property was designed somewhat differently in how they addressed the VIP market. And our designs really reflect the brand and the planning that was intuitive to that particular property. Right. That was something that we did really well. All of our properties design was very different to meet a particular brand direction that they wanted. So I think what you're going to see is the first question a lot of properties are going to ask themselves is, do I want to convert gaming space to non-gaming space? That's probably going to be the top question. If you look at it as a decision tree, right? And I think all properties are probably doing that now in the quiet time with COVID. The top question is, do they want to change it to non-gaming or to keep it gaming? For some spaces that are too far from the mass area, keeping it gaming could be challenging. It's just too disconnected from their main floor, right? So that would probably lend itself to be more to something non-gaming. Right. But if the spaces are close and relatively quickly connected to the main gaming floor, keeping it gaming may be wise in the long term, just to allow more ability to create gaming destinations that connect to their mass floor.
Right. Would that continue to be mass gaming space, or would that kind of more lend towards the premium mass gaming space?
I think it'll be several things. I do think it will be no doubt an expansion of mass and being able to provide more amenities for mass. Premium mass will grow as it's connected to the mass floor. And then what will happen is that the top tiers will rate higher levels. Sky Gaming will start to transfer, and you can get further away from the mass floor. But premium mass will grow on the gaming floor as the mass allows allows it to, based on the amount of throughput of gamers you have. So I definitely think that's in the way. And additionally, they could do better to provide support for their gaming, to provide more smoking lounges, more F&B, other things that are tied to the gaming. The way Macau requires F&B space within the gaming to be designated as gaming space. So that's, again, it's still considered gaming space even though it's F&B because it's tied to the mass gaming space. So that would allow them to address some of those issues and provide more amenities and grow. And potentially gaming may change a little bit. They'll maybe venture out into more, advantageous different types of gaming. Maybe as well, Macau opens up with more direct route to more increased variety of slot gaming. Right now, if you look at the market internationally, Macau is fairly strict and limited with the amount of product that we have on the floor. If they open the doors and allow more variety of product, that would again fill a lot of those gaming areas with potentially more product, which would again create more vibe for sure.
It sounds like, for every operator, they've got their own very, very unique situation. So they all might be approaching this problem differently, and they might have a different solution from just based on how their property is being built and laid out. From your point of view, and I'm sure I've spoken to all 6 of these operators at some point, but what's been the main sort of concerns? What's the timelines that they're looking at to make these changes?
I think it's pause right now. I think it's a lot of talk, because again, there's not enough empirical information right now to make a decision because of the condition of the gaming as it is right now. There's so many ifs, ands, or buts between digital currency, between opening the borders, between Hengchen, between the concessions being renegotiated. Right now, the ICJ really wanted to lock down the floor areas for all the gaming, for all the concessions, meaning really be clear to the millimeter where the borders are. So a lot of properties are kind of pausing any major changes because for 2 reasons. One, for the renegotiation of the concessionaires, but also as well, they really don't know where, there's not enough information right now to predict where the need's going to be, where they want to go. So I think, as I said before, the decision tree's probably up and they're talking through lots of decisions. I don't think that anybody's ever even close to making a decision, but what you said before is 100% true. It is property by property, and each property probably has 3 to 4 different avenues of approach that they can take. You have to remember Galaxy is very heavy driven from the VIP market before, but they have such a big property. They have a solid mass, but their VIP is all over. They have VIP area on the first floor attached to the mass. They have VIP on the second, spread across the entire property. So they have many approaches that they can take to take advantage of the place. And some of the spaces for their VIP are spectacular in terms of ceilings and heights and access. So they have a different set of problems. When you look at Wynn Cotai, they have a lot of their VIP face that pool, which is spectacular for the fountains. I mean, if they needed to convert those, they could all be beautiful restaurants. They could all be so many different things because of the where they are in terms of planning. So again, I think every property has to take a different look at what they want to do. But again, it starts with gaming versus non-gaming. We're probably going to have a plan for each. If we're going to keep it gaming, this is what it can do. If we're going to go non-gaming, this is what it can do. Because once you go non-gaming, it's hard to go back. It's really, very, very challenging to go back.
But I think bottom line is, these operators are going to be on a holding pattern until after, the new gaming law comes into place and they kind of know where it's standing and the pandemic goes away, so we understand what the demands is, right?
I would suspect if I were them, and I wouldn't want to be putting money. It's just too far out to make that bet on what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. The more people I talk to, we never would have imagined there'd still be a 0 case tolerance, right? The borders have, a golden week that never happened, like that turned on a dime. You think it went from, we were 98% at the hotels to basically all canceled in a matter of 2 days. So nobody wants to invest money with that unpredictability.
Just final question, and kind of more of just a crystal ball, your crystal ball. I think Macau properties in the past, there's been some very interesting designs. You've got location themed properties like Venetian, the Londoner. You have very unique properties like Melco's Morpheus. I mean, what's the future wow factor that the Macau tourists coming into Macau are going to want to expect? Like, what's that next golden ticket in terms of property design?
Well, this is a very difficult question to answer. A couple of things. You had started off by saying it was a kind of a arms race to build out spaces. And I think every property was in this top the next thing, right? Everything was top the next thing. And I look back to my designs from where it started to where it is. It was always, how can I better what I did before? I think that is going to change now. I think that whole arms race will take a pause, and they'll start to decipher what is really working for the customer, right? They'll start to look at how they're marketing to particular customers and who has the best spend, who's the best to spend money on, and what attracts that customer. So they'll really start to dive deep into what that customer is really looking for to address their needs. And I think, again, each property has a different way that they attract customers, and a different way they market to customers, and a different type of brand they want to be, right? Or that they can be, right? I mean, not everybody has the amount of hotel rooms that a Venetian Las Vegas Sands does. We're talking about 12,000 rooms in the middle of Cotai with an amazing marketing ability to say you can visit 3 European countries in one visit, right? But Galaxy has enough property that you can sit on Galaxy, get in Galaxy, and never leave. 100 restaurants. I mean, when you think about how modern and contemporary City of Dreams is, who could have a Zaha Hadid Tower other than City of Dreams in all of the gaming period? So each one has its own little point of differentiation. So I do think, though, that the attractions that have made Cotai attractive to begin still hold true, because the throughput of guests coming from China are still small. It's only really the southern provinces that have really truly traveled to Macau. So the throughput of guests that have yet to even experience it is enormous. So with the thought of opening up Hengchen and connecting, Macau being the gaming destination to a non-gaming destination, that synergy could be very profound. So you have the ability to attract guests, because as you know, you can't market casinos in mainland China. That becomes a problem, right? But if you have non-gaming to the scale of Hengchen, you can attract them, and then you can market to come visit for gambling, right? So that synergy over 10 years out, very compelling. And there's no doubt that every property has been looking at this for several years. It's just a matter of Beijing taking the stance they do, and exactly how they want to position it. And I think that's in their vision long term. So I think that will probably be the 10 years out. Between now and that 10 years, I'm not exactly sure what we'll be experiencing, but I do know non-gaming is going to have to step up. Beijing wants it. Everybody wants it. There's only going to be so much more expansion in gaming. We have doing another $5 billion property is probably not in the cards for Macau anytime. So, and when you look at it, it's to a certain degree kind of how Vegas has its same kind of up and down in terms of development and different scope. I mean, you have to remember Las Vegas is the flip side of what Macau is. It's 20% gambling, 80% non-gambling. Right now, Macau is the flip of it, 80% gambling, 20% non-gambling. So eventually that'll transition. Just a matter of what that requires and exactly who plays the role. We'll see. But I do think, I do think there'll be more non-gaming elements that'll take hold over time, particularly with the mass market, offering them more than just a place to come, $1,000 baccarat table. There's only so much of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely in line with where the government wants to take things as well. So it sounds like some very, very exciting times ahead, and especially for you, Lee. But just wanted to say thank you very much for your time today. It's been really, really insightful just hearing your point of view and what operators have been thinking about.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. And again, your email blasts are spectacular. It's a great way to give us a real synopsis on things and events in the market. Everybody, it's almost mandatory reading for most of my staff. So again,
appreciate the support, Lee.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you
again, Felix.
And that was Lee Montaina, Managing Director of Westar. Tune into each Friday's face-to-face series as we speak to the top thought leaders within Macau and Asian gaming.